You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
It used to be that calling a film a turkey was an insult. Nowadays, there's actually an audience for some of the worst movies ever made.
Baby, you are gonna go broke showing turkeys like these.
Now we're talking turkey.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
It's turkey time. Gobble, gobble.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk Turkeys. I'm Movie Miss, and I'm here with my co-host, Miss Nikki Flicks. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, knock, knock, let me in.
Ding dong, you're dead. We're talking House from 1985 today, not to be confused with the Emmy Award-winning program starring Hugh Laurie.
Definitely not the same house.
This is a house where no one should live.
Woman lived here before you was nuts. Wouldn't be surprised if someone just got fed up and offed her.
She was my aunt.
Heart of gold, though.
Roger Cobb has come here alone.
Daddy?
But no one is ever alone in the house.
This house knows everything about you. Leave while you can.
No! It has been waiting for him.
Hi.
Sandy.
Now, horror has found a new home. House. Enter at your own risk.
So the reason we're talking House today is it's part of our Friday Fun series. We're doing horror comedies, and this one definitely qualifies, but it is also a turkey. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 57% critics and 46% for audiences. And I would love to hear your thoughts. When's the last time you watched it? Was this fresh in your brain? What's going on?
It had probably been a good 15 years or so since I saw the movie. And so it was like seeing it for the first time because, you know, I talk a lot about how I'll watch a movie at a different point in my life and see it differently. Boy, did that happen with this movie. Totally different experience seeing it as a 40-year-old woman versus enjoying just the horror and comedy as a kid.
So not giving too much away, thoughts. What did you think this time around?
Oh, I adore it. It's so smart. It's so many things that you're not expecting. I think it's a very intelligent movie and it was ahead of its time.
I concur. So House had a budget of $3 million and it did 22.1 at the box office, which is probably why it got fast-tracked for a sequel, which we will not be discussing today. Directed by Steve Miner. And if anybody isn't familiar with that name, he is synonymous with Friday the 13th, 2 and 3. He did some Halloween. He did Lake Placid. Like, he is pretty much the other half of the Steve Miner, Sean S. Cunningham duo that in the horror community we all love.
Yep. That's my first note is opening credits. I'm already getting really excited when I see Sean S. Cunningham and Steve Miner. When I see those names, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be very, very well done.
And then you add to that music by Henry Manfredini, who also is responsible for music for many of those horror films that we love. And you can hear it if you pay attention.
Absolutely. Lots and lots of scenes where I noted how excellent the score is.
The score, I always forget to call it that, but yes, you
Yeah,
are right.
when you're hearing instrumental music that is written and played to go in conjunction with the scene or the shot, that is scored music. And boy, is it fantastic in this movie.
So story for this movie, not actually screenplay written by, but story and maybe co-writer, is Mr. Fred Decker, who was the co-writer for The Predator. He did Night of the Creeps, Demolition Man, Lethal Weapon 4, and one of our favorites, The Monster Squad. Again, totally tracks for me with the horror comedy elements in this movie, how it meshes together so well. So I guess I looked up too, so a little bit of trivia. Apparently Steve Miner got a Critics Award for this at one of the film festivals in '86. So one other little funny bit of trivia is in this film, one of the cast members is George Wendt as Harold the neighbor. And some of you who are old enough might remember him from the TV show Cheers. In the sequel, House 2, also done by the same bunch of people to put that movie together, they brought in another actor from the show Cheers, John Ratzenberger. So I thought that that was a fun bit of trivia as well.
When I went on Amazon to watch this and saw House 2 pop up in the suggestions, also free if you have Prime right now, I went ahead and watched House 2 again and instantly went, wow, okay, so the casting person must know the people over at Cheers. Something's going on here because
So top cast for this movie, we've got William Catt of the Greatest American Hero fame from the 80s there. We've got George Wendt, Richard Mull, Kay Lenz, Mary Staven, and Susan French. So not a real big cast.
the house itself is a major character. You don't
Right?
need a ton of cast, but the cast that is here, they all do their jobs spectacularly well. But the first thing during the Tales from the Dark Side vibes that you're getting in the opening credits and the
Yes.
shots of the house, it's such a wonderful set. It's such a good location. The house itself has a character and a presence, and you get it immediately. So yeah, it's somewhere
Yes.
in the credits needs to be, creepy house as house, because that is a character. And if you're going to call your movie House, you better have that. And this movie has that. The house, the settings, it's a character.
Oh, in spades. So the movie runs 93 minutes. Not mad at that. It moves at a very nice pace. And IMDb's plot has it as a troubled writer moves into a haunted house after inheriting it from his aunt.
That one's pretty well done. Not gonna lie. Yeah, whoever wrote that one, it's succinct and it tells you what you need to know without giving anything away.
All right, so let's jump in. Our movie opens with creepy music and some good opening shots of that house, as mentioned. Opening credits roll. We get to see a little grocery delivery boy pulling up to this creepy house, which even during the daytime looks really creepy, I gotta say. He goes in, and upstairs he finds Mrs. Hooper, where she has stepped up onto a chair in her bedroom and has hung herself and passed away. In the next scene, we join who we learn is Roger, her nephew, at her funeral, where a man tells him it was very out of character for her to have gone and done something like that and taken her own life. From the minute you meet Roger, William Catt, even in this scene where he's just standing there at the funeral, I felt like he was perfectly cast in the sense that he's your everyman. He looks like your everyman. He can act. He pulls off all the nuance of this character, the being sad to the comedy. I can't imagine anybody but him being in this role.
Absolutely agreed. That's one of the things that didn't hit me until this last viewing of this movie is what a complicated story this actually is and what a complex character Roger has to be, and delivering the emotional intensity of what he's going through, and then being able to just on a dime flip the switch and go straight to the ridiculousness of the comedy. And he just does it perfectly.
So then we cut to Roger at a book signing of his new novel, where we get to see some of the colorful characters in his fan base. And I love this scene. It's such a great introduction to how he's a horror writer and everybody's obsessed with him. It gives me like probably like early Stephen King vibes when he had to go to book signings, you know?
Yep. Anyone who's ever been to a signing, an appearance, or a Comic-Con knows what the celebrities have to deal with when they're sitting there meeting their fans. Gotta say, OMG, I recognized her instantly. That's Miss Mindy Sterling as the crazy lady in line raving about his wife and how she loves her TV show.
Yes.
I appreciate a great, let's quickly do something that establishes a lot of details. And that's exactly what this opening scene with him in the bookstore does. You get who he is, what he does, how he feels about his fame, the pressure from his publicist, like the ex-wife. You're getting all of that within 2 minutes of seeing this. And I appreciate that when it's like, here's a bunch of info, now we're moving on. And they do it really well here.
Yes, in a very entertaining way where you're laughing and enjoying it, but also getting the info down. So along with learning about that his ex-wife is a soap star, we learn that his new book he's working on is going to be about his experiences in the Vietnam War. So his publicist or agent or whoever isn't happy with that, and his fans don't seem too happy with that as being his next project. They want him to write more horror. He does tell Roger, is he a publicist and agent? Was that the same thing? Well, this guy, whatever he is, tells Roger, hurry up because you have a deadline. Otherwise, you have to give back your advance. And so Roger's like, okay, I've got to hurry up and get this book done. So that night at home, he sits down in sad bachelor fashion in his little pad at his little computer. Well, not little computer. It's a big computer. It takes up his whole coffee table.
It's the 80s. They all did.
But it's so funny that he grabs his frozen TV dinner and he doesn't even take it out of the box. He just looks at it and all sadly opens it up and just tosses it in the microwave and sets the microwave for 30 minutes.
Because he glanced at the package and it said 30 minutes and he's not even realizing the difference between a microwave versus the actual oven. Might be a difference. Yep. Yeah. It's just a great, again, a physical way to kind of give you an idea of what's going on with him. When you see his sad sack bachelor life here and you realize like all the pressure he's dealing with, I have to say what's happening with his character. This is why I myself never pursued a career as an artist, a singer or a writer. I considered doing both. Knowing you have to rely on your fans and keep that relationship up at all times. And you're going to have to deliver what the people want, what your publicist wants on a deadline too. You lose your soul creatively at some point, and having to deal with the people. I'm too much of an introvert for all of it. I instantly am like, I really feel for this guy. And then the ex-wife, and there's been mention already that he has a son that we're not seeing. Something's wrong with the son. I feel so sorry for him right now. Him and his little TV dinner.
Yeah, he can't focus on writing. So while his dinner is still cooking in that 30-minute microwave, he grabs the phone, calls the FBI. He's got a contact there, and he asks if there's anything new to report about his missing son. So that's like, oh.
Yep. And the way you learn that, it's like on top of everything else I'm already feeling sorry for this guy about, he has a missing kid. Holy crap. No wonder he's absolutely miserable.
Yep. And then his ex-wife calls, and she's a soap star, as we mentioned. So she's at some award ceremony on a payphone in the lobby, gives him a call. He turns on some music, starts talking loud and laughing, pretending like he's having a good time with some buddies at the house. And it's that classic, I'm not sad, you're sad move,
It's so pathetic when you see him talking with and the actress's name that's playing Sandy here.
Kay Lenz.
She doesn't have a whole lot to work with material wise, but she knocks it out of the park. You get exactly who she is very, very quickly and what their relationship is, realizing they have a missing child as a common link between them, even as ex-spouses. You're getting like how complicated that relationship is and that she really cares. Just 2-minute phone conversation and you get all that. She's fabulous.
Agreed. So she lets him know she got the message about the aunt passing away, and he lets her know that he's gone by the house. So I'm assuming it's a local thing where they can all get to it easily, which makes sense later in the movie. Sandy gets distracted for a photo op and they go ahead and hang up. That night, Roger has a dream about his son sitting near a grave and a hand pops up out of the ground and he screams. Roger immediately jumps out of bed and packs a bag. The next day, at his aunt's house, he tells the realtor he grew up in that house, and so he's very familiar with it. After his mother died, his aunt actually raised him.
And I noticed and loved that the sign in the yard says Craven Realty, and that made me smile.
I did not notice that.
Yep, Steve Miner giving a little shout out to Mr. Wes Craven.
That just cranks this up another notch.
Mm-hmm.
So while outside in the backyard looking at the pool, Roger remembers the day that his son Jimmy and he were in the yard and Jimmy went missing. He remembers seeing Jimmy in the pool, and when he jumps in to get him, Jimmy's gone. So Roger and the realtor go into this shed / could be a guest house, nice big room, situation in the backyard there. The realtor accidentally fires a harpoon gun right at Roger. And I love that they just brush right past that. And he's like, oh, look at this. Your aunt was a painter.
The sound effect and the look on William Katt's face, and it looks like they shot that for real in real time with the harpoon hitting the, it just makes me laugh. I guffawed when it happened,
Yes.
the noise.
So the realtor, like I said, wants to brush right past that and distracts him and says, oh, look, a painting. Your aunt must have been working on this before she died. And it's this really creepy looking painting. And there's a rag hanging over the corner on one side, so you can't really see the whole image. Roger tells him, my aunt thought this house was haunted. And then we get a flashback of Roger and Sandy in in the house there, telling the police about their son going missing. Did you notice? I don't know when the last time you saw Jaws 2 was, but Aunt Elizabeth, Susan French, she was the little old lady in Jaws 2 that sees the boat explode in the beginning. These are the only two things I ever remember seeing her in ever. I just love her though. She's so cute.
She's cute and she's creepy. We have a couple of great scenes with her. Not a whole lot, but what we do see of her, oh yeah. Creepy.
Yeah, she comes in the room here and tells the cops, or she says to Roger actually in front of the cops, the house did it. The house is the one that took Jimmy. And it's like the way she says it, I can't even try to do it justice. It's so spooky.
Think about the actual situation, the reality of it, how this kid went missing, what the actual hell. The cops are not going to believe you. Just the whole thing is so confusing and so strange. And then when you add into how awful the situation is, her coming in and saying that.
Yeah.
So now everyone's going, and now we have to deal with worrying about her mental health, apparently, because she thinks the house took her nephew. Oh boy. Okay.
So Roger snaps out of that flashback and tells the realtor, you know what? I'm not going to sell the house after all. And in fact, he says he's going to stay there and go ahead and get some work done. So we get another of many, so I won't keep mentioning it, but an excellent exterior shot, a panning shot of the house. The director, Steve Miner, just genius.
That's what I'm saying. The house itself is a character, and he had the wherewithal to realize we need to shoot as many of these great sweeping different times a day, different lighting, and then we'll put different music over it to just kind of remind everyone that the house itself is what the story's about, like what's happening inside the house. Every single shot, there's so many of them, each one is different and has a different tone to it. And you feel like the mood of the house is changing, like it's a character. I shit you not. That's what I meant when I said that. Every shot of the house, it's like someone making a different face. It just changes. Steve Miner did such a good job.
So that night, Roger's sitting at his computer about to write his Vietnam story, and he gets distracted yet again. This man cannot get anything written. Some noises upstairs. He goes up to his aunt's room and he sees her getting ready to climb up on the chair. There's a noose there, and she tells him the house won. It tricked her, and it's going to trick him too, and he should leave while he can. And then as she steps up on the chair to kind of jump through the noose, she disappears into thin air. Roger is visibly shaken by this.
As he should be. The whole thing is so creepy. The way that he just opens the door and the lights are on, there's no aha jump. It's just she's there. Oh shit, she shouldn't be there. She's dead. But I have to say, going into this, when he goes and sees her, when he first gets up, and okay, can we talk about the fact that anyone who's ever lived alone or known that the person they live with is not in the house, if you hear a noise, everyone in every movie always gets up, starts to walk, and says, hello? Bitch, what are you expecting when you do that? If someone responded, you would run out of the house because no one's there. Why are people always doing that? You can't tell me that you've ever been alone, heard a noise, known it wasn't the dog. And what do? You silently arm yourself and investigate as quietly as possible. That's what you do. You do not go,
Yes.
hello?
I was just going to say, you don't say hello, because especially the people, oh my God, you got me going. Especially the people who continually walk around going, hello, Jimmy? Jimmy, is that you? Jimmy? If fucking Jimmy was there, he would have said hello right away. Why you got to give him 10 minutes of you wandering the house to speak up?
That's what I'm saying. This is a loophole that has existed in horror and suspense for as long as it's even been a thing. In the history of movies, every single one of these people always just walks around and goes, hello, when they know they're alone in the house.
And I defy you to give me one example, one of a time when the killer has said, oh, it's just me, the killer, I'm here. Not one time. So Roger is visibly shaken. He debates taking a Valium, but he decides to just go to bed instead. I have to say, before we go into this morning scene, his outfit, what he's wearing, this sweater with a deep V neck and nothing underneath. God bless him. I love William Catt, and he has the chest to pull it off. No self-respecting man should wear that deep V sweater like that.
He's got cleavage. He's feeling his oats a little. Come on. If I was a man and had pecs like that, I would wear it too. I think he's rocking it, and he's comfortable with himself as a man, damn it.
And not even just the V, like the rest of the movie when he's wearing all these different sweaters. I'm like, what was the sweater budget on this film just for him?
Did we spend $50,000 on just sweaters here? Like, what is going on? I have to say, though, I did notice when the whole scene before he goes to bed is happening, the artwork in the house, the painting in the shed was like, whoa, what the hell? And then the rest of the artwork you're seeing on the walls throughout the house, really bizarre, creepy, weird shit. There's this beautiful stained glass window at the top of the stairs with this peacock on it. Like, and you see it numerous times throughout. Just the little details that went into making the house look the way it does. I can't stop looking at it as the movie unfolds. But yes, when he goes to bed, I had a little moment where I was like, oh my God, that I just remembered the son and how sad that is when you see him climbing into his son's bed.
Yes.
Oh my God, doesn't that break your heart a little?
Yes. Just trying to be close to him.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning, dressed in his deep V sweater, he takes the trash down to the curb and he sees this attractive blonde woman jogging by. And he just kind of stares sheepishly at her as she says hi. And then she goes into the house across the street. His neighbor, Harold, sees all of this and comes over to say hi. He says it's great to have a new neighbor because the woman that lived there before him was nuts. Biggest bitch under the sun. And Roger interrupts him and says, yeah, that was my aunt.
And I love how George Wendt just changes his tune instantly as soon as he realizes that. Like, ooh, George Wendt is a comedic genius. And you, just like every other actor in the movie, you get instantly who he is as a person. He is so sweet, but he's also a little too loose-lipped and honest.
Yeah, he changes his tune immediately and says, oh, but she was a saint. She had a heart of gold. So Harold invites Roger over for some burgers and to watch the game. But Roger says, well, I'm actually here because I'm trying to lay low and get some writing done. I like the solitude. And it takes a second, but then Harold figures out that Roger is the famous author, Roger Cobb, and he asks him for an autograph. And then Roger goes inside. So that night in the beautiful library, I was so jealous of this library, all the books and how it's laid out. Roger sits down to write. He finally gets some writing done this time. So we get a flashback to Vietnam. So we meet Roger and his platoon of men, along with Ben, aka Big Ben, played by Richard Mall, who plays a prank on Roger with a snake. You can see this guy's got a fucked up sense of humor, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, the guy seems a little unhinged. He's the kind of guy who's going to be a little gun happy, a little kamikaze, and you get it immediately who he is as a person. Richard Mall, he's so amazing. And if you only ever knew him from Night Court, you think he's just this big, lovable goof. And then you are getting this crazy, like, oh, this guy could be a little dangerous if you set him off.
Menacing, even.
Cool to see that an actor known for comedy is being cast in that role and pulling it off instantly.
But I also like, as unhinged and, fucking with Roger and the way he is, he turns around and protects his buddy like a human shield when a grenade gets launched at them nearby. So I like that he's also got that sense of, I'm going to protect you to Roger. It's so sweet. As Roger's writing, his eyes wander and drift over to the TV, and he gets distracted by a vision of his son in the window, following by some giggles and his son's voice. He gets up and follows the voice upstairs to his aunt's room. And just as he's about to open that closet door, he says to himself, I must be going crazy. And then he goes and gets ready for bed. But then he stops mid-brush of his teeth. And he's like, you know what? I'm going back to my aunt's room. So he goes, flings the closet door open in this big suspenseful moment to nothing. The closet's empty.
The score works so well during this entire sequence. The musical cues with the turning on of the lamp, the opening of the door, like the false jumping, the music works perfectly to accentuate what's happening. And I love that if you were an impatient person, you'd be sitting there going, why am I watching this guy brush his teeth? Oh, now he's deciding to turn around and go back. It's just such a real human moment. They're really letting you feel what it's like to be this guy, not sure how to handle the situation. Am I losing it? Do I continue being normal? Do I go investigate? It all is for a purpose.
Yes. And that also lends to the 93-minute runtime. They packed so much into this little movie, and the pace, it gives him the beats that he needs for us to read his face, know that he's processing, figure out what he wants to do, and yet the movie doesn't drag.
That's what I'm saying. My specific note is they have all these great moments that really are creative ways of letting you know how he's thinking and what he's dealing with and make you relate to him without ever having it drag. It's amazing the way you're getting all this mundane stuff in a quote horror movie, but it's not dragging.
And even though we're not laughing hysterically as we're talking about this definitely is a comedy as well, because like you mentioned, Harold's character, the aunt, even though she's being creepy, the way she says stuff, there's been some good little comedy lines said throughout so far, and there'll be more. This movie really is funny.
Oh yeah, it's going to take a turn here pretty quickly. And then it's suddenly, I have a lot of notes about how well it jumps in tone from serious, frightening, and then suddenly with the musical cues and then the camera angles change, you instantly get, now this is a comedy. Oh my God. And you start laughing a lot along with the movie. It's so well paced. And the music that they use when things are meant to be funny lets you know you should be laughing right now. And it works.
So after that false excitement, the empty closet, he's walking away. He hears the clock start chiming. I love that big, beautiful grandfather clock, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Props to set design. So as it's chiming midnight, Roger decides, you know what? I'm just going to open the closet again. Why not? And this time he flings it open and he gets lunged at and attacked by a giant practical effects creature of some kind that reaches out and slashes him across the chest before he's able to shut the door on it.
It looks so good. This multi-headed weird ass thing. And you're like, wait a minute, hold on. This is not the spooky ant. This is not a ghost thing. This is not a haunted house. Like, what the hell is that thing? That thing, I don't even know what kind of, sewage that thing climbed out of, but it looks incredible.
What other dimension it's from.
Exactly.
So the next day, Roger gets a delivery of all manner of cameras, video recording devices, lights, all this stuff, which he takes up and sets up in his aunt's room, all pointed right at that closet. He's decked out in military gear. He's got his hat, his protective goggles, everything. He's ready to go. And he's got a rope tied to the closet door so that when he pulls the rope, it'll open the closet and he can hopefully capture whatever this creature is on film.
This is exactly what I was referring to. I was like, just, we're almost there. You're going to get this transition when he's setting up all this stuff, the way that there's a light silliness in the score of the music. And then when you're seeing how intense and serious he is, as he's got his fatigues and the goggles and he's lining up all the, and you were like, okay, I'm supposed to be laughing, and I am laughing. I'm laughing at what this guy's dealing with. And I feel the same way he does. I'm looking around going, am I nuts? This situation doesn't even seem real. This is ridiculous. That's how you're seeing the movie in that moment. And you're feeling how Roger feels, that means they're doing their job.
And tell me you wouldn't do the same fucking thing he's going to try to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Only difference is I would already be recruiting help at this point, just so someone else could see it. Cause I would be like, yeah, right? I need someone else to see this thing.
It's like Bigfoot. You don't want that blurry photo and then nobody believes you.
Exactly.
So he does a trial run of pretending to pull the rope, and what he's going to do is exiting the house commando style as he runs and jumps and rolls down the stairs. And then he goes flying out the front door and he runs into Harold, who's been out walking his dog.
That's what I'm saying, man. Suddenly you're like, oh, now I see why they cast William Katt. I get it now, because suddenly he just completely flips this switch and it's 100% physical comedy with him running through the house and the army and the jumping and the somersault for no fucking reason. And the way he comes flying out the front door on his knees. Holy shit. And that's William Katt. He really just ran through the house and did all that. Like, you can see that. Oh my God, it's so funny. And you're right there with Harold now, where you're like, what the hell is he doing?
Well, luckily his look goes with the fact that he's writing a Vietnam story. He just kind of jumps up and says he's going to get back into writing now. And I like when he goes in, Harold says to his dog, yeah, writing looks like fun.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's what writers do. Interesting. And then you get this amazing second where William Katt, after he goes in, he opens the curtains and peeks. And it like, you swear to God, he's in the jungle, like peeking through the bush to see if the enemy has retreated. Like,
yes,
this guy's on another planet right now.
Yes, this is why I'm saying I can't imagine anybody but him in this role. He pulls off the dramatic to the silly and the physical, all of it. He's the whole package.
Exactly.
So Roger goes back inside and he gets set up now to open the closet for real. We get a dramatic countdown and nothing happens. Wah wah. So later he's walking downstairs and he walks by the clock and it strikes midnight. He realizes something clicks in his head. Oh my God, the clock. He runs back upstairs and he's just about to try it again. And he gets interrupted by Harold, who walks in, who's brought over a midnight snack. Because that's what you do when you're neighbors.
Harold, yes. Are you trying to get shot? Because that's how you get shot. Entering someone's house uninvited. That's what I love about the dynamic between Harold and Roger, because when you're a Roger, when you're an introverted, sensitive, creative type, you kind of need someone who is overbearing, insistent, even intrusive, to come along and barge in and say, hey, what's going on here? How you doing? Roger needs someone like Harold. So good job, Harold, just barging in, reading the room correctly. This guy needs somebody to talk to, I think.
Oh, yes. I love that he tells him he came over because he realizes that solitude is always better when someone else is around.
Exactly. He's clearly instantly concerned about this guy's mental health, and being a good person wants to try to help.
So they go downstairs. Roger and Harold sit in the dining room and they eat. And Harold asks, what's with all the cameras and all that upstairs? Roger says he thinks the house is haunted and that his aunt thought it was haunted. And he thinks he saw a ghost or something in the closet. So he shows Harold the scratches on his chest, which in this silly movie, I'm not going to pick it apart, but I was like, dude, you just got those scratches and they look fully scabbed over and healed. I don't think so. But anyway, Harold is like, wow, that's some nasty scratches you got there. And Harold says Roger's sounding like one of his novels. Maybe he imagined everything because he is a horror writer. Harold gets up to leave, and Roger asks him if he thinks he's nuts. And Harold says, no. And on the way out the front door, he snags Roger's address book, which is conveniently sitting right on the hall table there. So Harold goes home and he immediately calls Sandy, Roger's ex-wife, and basically tells her Roger's seeing things and acting strange. She's concerned. She says, well, I can't get there because I have to be on the set in the morning, but I'll give him a call. And like you just said, he's being a good guy. God bless him. He's doing the only thing he thinks to do to help Roger.
Exactly. He barely knows this guy, but can see that he's having a hard time. And he is smart enough to say, okay, I need to contact someone that knows him and can help him. Because this guy's Molly, you in danger, girl. Like he's really worried this guy's got some screws loose and could hurt himself. So yeah, he does the right thing here, alerting the ex-wife that there's a problem.
So they hang up and Sandy calls Roger, but he just lets it ring because he's deep into his writing. We cut to Roger and his platoon in the jungle where Ben volunteers to walk point. There's that crazy side of him. And Roger has to go with him because they're, a team. So Roger tells him as they're walking to slow down. Ben calls him a chicken. Not only is he being crazy, but he's being kind of a dick because he's like, bark, 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 bark at Roger. So as Ben is acting wildly unsafe, Roger hears a noise. Ben says, oh, we got to keep moving. I don't care. Cut out of that. Roger stops writing. He gets up, takes a deep breath. He's clearly, again, the acting here. He's clearly affected by thinking about all of this. He gets up and paces around when suddenly a toy remote car just suddenly rolls into view. And he I can't remember if he hears Jimmy laugh or not.
Yep.
Okay,
The car comes in, catches his attention. And as he's looking at it, you hear the child giggling. I'm getting Insidious vibes from this idea of the car. And it's like, okay, now we're back to this is a haunted house. This is really creepy.
Well, then he turns around and there is a giant stuffed marlin fish on the wall. And it starts to move like one of those big mouth Billy Bass fish, but without the music. It just starts flopping on the wall.
Right before it starts moving, I noticed, and this is the shit that me being the horror freak I am, I appreciate.
Sure.
As he looks at it, you notice when he looks real close at the eye, it is moist. There is a wetness and there's liquid and sheen on the eye that alert you as a viewer that it's alive and it's going to move before it starts moving. Because if you've ever seen a stuffed fish, the eye looks dead. It looks dry. When you see the eye and it suddenly has this moisture, you're like, oh, that it's going to move. And then it starts moving.
It's so
creepy and smart. I've never seen anything like this. Suddenly I'm getting Evil Dead vibes with this fish. But I have to say, with the fish, I mean, come on. At that moment, that's when you would probably be like, no, I'm going to nope the fuck out of this house. Now that this fish is moving, I think I need to leave. I would be out.
Baby.
Yep, exactly. Too bad we can't stay. I'd be gone the minute that freaking fish starts moving and the noise it makes.
Oh my God, I know.
Sounds like a dolphin trying to scare people. Like, what is that sound it's making? It's horrid.
So Roger is clearly upset with the situation and wants to solve it. So he goes running out to the shed to get a shotgun and some shells. While out there, he is attacked by all manner of tools and equipment, garden shears and axe. All these things come flying off the wall and begin to fly toward him. He runs out of the shed, into the house, into the kitchen, and drops some shells on the floor. So Roger manages to get into the library and he shoots the fish and it stops moving, but not before it cries like a baby.
That's what I was saying.
What was that?
It sounds like a dying dolphin is what it sounds like. The sounds are very dolphin-like and it sounds really unnerving. It's very strange.
So next, Roger goes into the bathroom. He hears a loud knocking sound, and when he opens the doors, it's those floating tools again. They've come after him. He runs out of the room, trapping them, and he goes downstairs. Evil Dead-ish to me.
Yeah, just like the house itself, they give you a great idea and feeling that it's a character and it's alive. These inanimate objects seem alive. It's such a nothing thing, and it happens so quickly. just the way that it's shot and the way that they're moving and kind of like, it's almost like they're pacing back and forth, like, come on, come at us. Like, we're going to get you. I don't know. There's something about it. It's kind of cartoony, and you feel like these inanimate objects are scary and they're alive and have bad intentions.
Yes, it's silly and funny, but also terrifying.
Exactly. The idea of this happening is absolutely horrific. And I still maintain the fish and then this, no, I'd be out. I'd be done. I'd be at the mental hospital saying, sign me up, give me the IV. I need the drugs. I got a problem.
So downstairs, Roger gets startled by Sandy standing there by the front door. She says she tried calling but got no answer, and she was worried, so she came right over. Roger sets the gun down on the table, and one of the shells rolls onto the floor. Sandy bends down to pick it up, and when she pops back up, it's not Sandy. It's some kind of creature, which the credits call a witch, but I don't see why they would call it that. It's this gross, slimy, big blob, scary looking thing, which also is wearing makeup, so it looks silly. It's that horror comedy thing again. And it lunges for Roger. It goes after him.
This thing, yeah, call it a witch, call it whatever you want. Oh my God, whoever built that must have had a field day when they saw turn this gorgeous woman into a fat, slimy witch and just went with it. In the makeup department, they clearly just had a field day with those instructions, because that thing looks so freaking gross. And it's another one of these things where you're looking at it and going, this is not a ghost. This is not the haunted house I was expecting. What the hell is happening in this house? Because, and I love the touch of giving her lipstick and the red painted nails, still got that, working that purple gown, but now she got them back rolls. Like, girl, this thing is hideous.
Well, he blasts it with the shotgun and sends it flying out onto the front porch. Harold wakes up to the gunshot and he looks out and he sees Roger standing on the porch with a gun, so he calls the police. Rightly so. So then back on the porch, we can see that the creature has now turned back into Sandy. Roger is upset. He hears sirens coming though, so he picks her up real quick and brings her inside, puts her body in a closet under the stairs in the front hall there. And he goes back out on the porch quickly, where he starts to polish his gun as the police pull up. The police tell Roger to put the gun down and say they got a report about someone firing off a shotgun. Roger says, oh, I was just cleaning it and it went off by accident. The police tell him it's illegal to discharge a weapon inside city limits, so they have to cite him. But then they recognize him as the famous author and they decide to skip it. And they go inside to have some coffee and use the bathroom.
It all tracks. Roger and his celebrity / white male privilege. He got pretty lucky that the cops are fans.
Yes, they go inside and Harold sees what's happening and he invites himself in, which I thought is funny too. And after a few minutes, the cops and Harold go ahead and leave. Roger realizes his gun, which was sitting in the hall a minute ago, is now missing. He opens the closet where he left Sandy's body and he sees that the body is now gone as well.
This whole sequence where the cops are there and Harold's there and he's seeing things and you can see the door is open. It's all very anxiety inducing.
Yes.
You're like, suddenly they're pulling off, giving you this tension and suspense again, where you're going, okay, the bitch is not in there. She got up and got out of that closet. Oh my God, are the cops going to see her? Like, what's going to happen? And then he finally gets them out. And by this point, when he sees she's not there, I'm like so anxious. I'm ready to start chewing on my nails. Like, ay.
Well, he hears the door close upstairs. So armed with a fireplace poker, he goes up to investigate. I guess that's the next best thing when you don't have your gun, right? He goes into his aunt's room and he gets ambushed by the creature, now armed with the shotgun. She knocks Roger down and tells Roger, you'll never find your son. She goes to shoot him, but the gun is empty. So Roger takes the opportunity to get away and run out of the room. Just as he's doing that, he gets hit with the butt of the gun and knocked down. So Roger thinks fast. Again, I would not have thought of this. He opens the door across the hall, releasing all of the flying tools and weapons right at the creature, and the hedge trimmers take its head clean off, decapitating it.
So gross. This is what I pay for when I see a horror movie. I love it. Yeah. I would imagine whoever designed and built that insane suit was on set that day to watch it get decapitated, because they really did decapitate this great looking thing that you spent so much time building. The sounds, the voice, the noise that the witch thing is making.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so gross. Her voice sounds so bizarre.
So Roger bags it up in his hefty bags, drags it out to the yard where he's preparing to bury it. And he gets startled by his blonde neighbor, Tanya, the one he saw jogging before, swimming in his pool. She tells him that his aunt used to let her swim there and she hopes it's okay with him too. She doesn't want to impose. He tells her he's divorced. They chat. And while they're standing there, the creature's hand comes out of the bag and tries to grab Roger's foot. And then it tries to grab Tanya's foot, but she walks away before it can. I cracked up, though, at her giving him standing there in the swimsuit, sexy eyes. And she goes, I know when a man wants to work and when a man wants to play. And it's like, oh, give me a break.
Exactly. What you're doing is seeing a wounded man and swooping in for the kill, honey. But yeah, I'm right there with you. This whole thing with the hand, you're right back to laughing again now. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, this movie's just going back and forth, and it's doing such a good job. The look on his face when he's trying to stand on it and pretend like he's interested in what this bimbo's saying, like, oh.
Yeah. So after Tanya leaves, Roger takes an axe and he chops the creature up into many pieces and he buries them all over his yard, which in itself, just seeing all these little holes everywhere that he's dug covered is just comedy in itself. Later that night, after searching around his house, I'm guessing for a sign of Jimmy, because he's getting that vibe, he winds up out in the backyard where he sees a dog digging up one of the creature's hands and he runs off with it. I love a dog in a movie, but I was not happy with this one.
This is what I'm saying. So when we were talking about the movie Idle Hands, and I was like, come on, the dog would have alerted you to the fact that there are dead bodies and dead body parts all over the house. Dogs have a tendency to do this in horror movies, don't they? They show up and they dig up or run away with pieces of dead bodies because apparently dogs just love them. Can't get enough of the decapitated feet and hands and what have you.
And they have no sense of timing because it's always at an inopportune time that they do it.
Exactly.
So as Roger runs in the house to look for his car keys to go chase after the dog, he hears a knock at the front door. It's Tanya, all gussied up, asking Roger if he's ready to play, and introduces her small son, Robert, who's what, maybe 4-ish, do you think?
Oh yeah, like
It seemed like he was
3, 4.
3 or 4. Okay. Yes, this is my son, Robert. And she invites herself inside. And Roger's trying to tell her this is not a good time. Like, I'm busy. She insists. And he sees on little Robert's back as he turns around, the creature's hand is hanging on this little kid. He obviously knows it's there, but he's doing a great job for us, acting like he doesn't.
The little kid. Yeah. Okay. So this woman showing up and doing this right before this, you had this moment where you're suddenly remembering this is really sad what's happening to this guy, and he's traumatized standing over the pool thinking about his son disappeared, and this woman shows up and surprise, she's got an adorable little boy. Remind you of anyone? And now the kid is in peril and you're responsible. The whole thing, it only just now struck me watching it this time. This is about PTSD. And it's about the fact that this guy wants to retreat into solitude and thinks that that's the best way to work through it. And the real world just keeps showing up at his door and intruding on that process.
And it's multiple levels of PTSD because he's writing about his experience in Vietnam.
Exactly. Not just the experience with the kid, but also he's hearkening back to his and not dealing with your trauma and how it's gonna show up at your door and intrude the way that Harold keeps intruding on his space. Now this woman intruded on his space with a kid who reminds him that he has a son. That part of it never struck me when I was younger, and I see it now, and I'm like, this movie's just so much smarter on so many emotional levels than I ever realized.
I know I was gonna say, just to be snarky, are we giving this movie too much credit? But no, really, we're not. This movie was brilliantly written.
Yeah, it's
for the themes and everything. Yeah,
it's very intentional. It's obvious that there's an overall theme here of PTSD and dealing with trauma. And then this little kid, you getting back to the movie itself and not just the genius writing, but this little boy, whoever this little boy is, you're right. For him to be running around and just giggling and laughing with that thing on his back. Wow.
And doesn't give it away that it's on his back, that he knows.
I have never quite seen anything like this in a horror movie either. The idea of the kid running around with this nasty ass rotting decapitated hand attached to his back is so inventive and creepy.
So he chases the little kid because he sees the hand on his back and grabs him and ducks into the bathroom where he's able to get the hand off of him and flush it down the toilet, which again, to not pick apart this awesome movie, but I will, that hand would not go down like that. Come on. You're not flushing that hand. But he does, he flushes it. So when he gets out, Tanya asks Roger, can you go ahead and babysit Robert for me right now? It's like, what?
Like I said, you don't get to choose when you have to confront your demon. It's going to come up and bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what's happening here. Tanya's dumping him with the kid. So he is and he is forced to think about how he was responsible for his son's disappearance. You are being forced to face your trauma, sir. And there's this great moment that happens after Tanya leaves here when the kid's just wanting to play with shit and he's getting bored and Roger's trying to write. And he's like, you want something else to play with? You don't like these toys? And Roger, that William Cat delivers it so beautifully. He says, how about a plastic bag? And I have never caught that, noticed it, laughed at it before. I never even realized he said that. And when he said that, oh my God, I guffawed again, like out loud. I'm alone and I feel nuts laughing. How about a plastic bag?
So later, after he combs fussy little Robert down, he lies him down for a nap on the couch there, and he goes back to his writing. He remembers he and Ben still in the jungle, and suddenly they're under fire and Ben goes down. Roger snaps out of it and gets up to check on little Robert, but sees that he is gone. He runs upstairs and finds two creatures taking Robert into the bedroom and then up into a chimney. I forgot legit that this part happened, and I was like, oh, get him.
Right. So I went from laughing hysterically with the comment about the plastic bag to this tender moment where he's putting the little boy down to sleep and you're remembering he is a grieving father. And then he's also looking at his ex-wife, who he obviously still loves, on the TV. Then he's having these Vietnam flashbacks again. Now we're right back into tension, horror with the disappearing kid. Man, I feel like we're on the freeway giving it all the gas. Like this movie just flies through. You're on an emotional roller coaster with this movie.
For sure.
The shot of him going up the chimney, holy shit.
Yeah. He grabs little Robert and he's playing tug of war with him with these creatures. So he wins. He ends up, hanging on to Robert. And after the struggle, the creatures let go. He goes and takes and gives him a bath, which is such a cute scene. The little kid taking the wet rag and throwing it at him and giggling. And yeah, it gives me all the feels. It's so sweet. And like you said, it reminds you that he's a grieving father. Exactly.
And he's being forced to work through that because this woman, for some weird reason, dumped her kid onto him. There's a reason. It's because the house, he literally is facing his demons and his trauma being in this house.
So Tanya comes by later to pick up Robert very late because in the next scene, we see Roger noticing that it is now 11:55. It's almost midnight. So Harold arrives right before midnight. Roger tells him, hey, man, I didn't actually invite you over to watch a movie. I need you to help me with something. And they go upstairs to the camera room. Roger hands Harold a harpoon gun and tells him he didn't actually see a ghost in the closet. It is a big raccoon that has a nest in there, and I need your help to kill it. So he tells Harold, shoot it. The line is attached to it. Hold on tight, whatever you do. And Roger grabs this mattress and he goes and stands over by the door. And as the clock strikes midnight, he flings the door open. Both men scream and Harold freezes because out comes that big creature again. I didn't expect that to happen because I didn't expect anybody else to see the thing, just Roger.
Exactly. With Harold's involvement, you've been set up in a brilliant way for the false jump, the false scare. There's nothing when you close the door, but the music says there should have been. And then you're trained to know there's nothing behind the door. So when there is, it's with this guy, you're trained to think he's never going to see any of this shit. And he'll just continue thinking Roger's nuts. And then this happens. And George Wendt is doing such a great job because he goes into it. And you can tell when he's sitting there holding the harpoon gun that he's like, this guy has completely lost his shit, but I'll go with it for a minute. And then it's time to call the police and have him taken away in the paddy wagon. And then when the thing actually comes out, the way he just freezes and has no freaking clue what to do now that he's actually seeing the thing. And then you're in shock watching this happen because you didn't think that he would see it. This movie is just so brilliant.
I like that something happens also again now that we don't expect is Roger screaming, shoot it, and Harold does. And Roger's foot gets caught in the line and the creature takes off and Roger gets taken off with it in tow. Bye-bye. And Harold's, a little bit of comedy because Harold's going, I got you. And then he doesn't got him.
Right. Yeah.
It's just good. It's so good. So next we see Roger being dragged through a jungle as he struggles to free his foot. We hear gunfire. Roger looks over and sees Ben lying on the ground wounded. Roger holds him and Ben pleads with Roger to kill him. He's dying anyway. Please kill me. Roger grabs a knife, but he just can't bring himself to do it. Roger says, I'm going to go get help. I'll be back. And as he's running off, Ben gets jumped and dragged off by the Viet Cong and he's screaming, I'm going to get you for this, Roger. I'll make you pay, and he gets drug off. Roger runs off and he sees a doorway with a light in the jungle and he jumps through it where he hits the floor in his aunt's room and he sees Harold asleep on the mattress holding the harpoon gun and a bottle of alcohol of some kind.
And a bottle of Jack. And my first thought is, Harold, I feel you, buddy. That's right where I'd be too, because he disappeared and you don't know how long or where he went. That guy, God bless him, just went and found a bottle of hard liquor and sat there and waited, not knowing if his friend died. Where did he go? I don't know. But let's talk about for a minute here, the idea of skeletons in the closet. Buried trauma, not wanting to face it. So with the experience that Roger went through, that he was forced to go through with little Robert being dumped on him, he started facing and dealing with his feelings about his son and being a father and all that trauma. And now he gets dragged into this closet, which, it magically turns into Vietnam, and he's facing what he's been avoiding, which is, because we've been thinking every time he has these Vietnam flashbacks, what happened? What happened to Ben? What is this about really? He's seeing it. He's seeing what actually happened now and how horrific. What a terrible position he was in. What a emotionally traumatic experience this is.
Well, and all the responsibility he's felt all these years.
Guilt.
Ben. Yeah, guilt for sure.
It's his guilt feeling like he's responsible for what happened to Ben. That's the actual skeleton in the closet that he hasn't wanted to deal with yet. And there it is. So smart.
So Roger takes a drunk Harold home and puts him to bed. And then he gets a wild hare to go out to the shed in his yard. And he removes the rag that is hanging on the corner of his aunt's painting, where he sees that she has painted little Jimmy, his son, trapped in the mirror of the bathroom medicine cabinet. That is an eerie as fuck image. I'm gonna say.
Yes, it is. The painting, whoever did those works of art that the aunt was supposedly responsible for, did a great job. That idea is creepy as hell. The idea of portals or alternate dimensions, people being trapped in mirrors or ghosts in mirrors. It's all very creepy. So now you're like, okay, now we're back to this is a haunted house, creepy thing. But apparently she could see the kid at one point. She must have.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Now we're starting to get an idea of what drove that woman nuts. Imagine trying to go in your bathroom at night to brush your teeth and seeing your missing nephew in the mirror.
That would be horrible. So he immediately runs into the house. He opens his medicine cabinet to find that it's just full of medicine. But with quick thinking, after he closes it, he tosses a little step stool right at the mirror on the cabinet, shattering it and exposing a giant black hole. I love that you actually see a practical effect that he tosses it. It goes right through. The hole is there.
Yep. This is part of the smartness of what's really going on in this movie that escaped me as a kid. I didn't get it. I just thought it was really bizarre and creepy because I didn't understand it. Now it's like, okay, I see what's happening here. This house, somehow it's on like some sort of portal into the space-time.
Indian burial ground.
Yeah, no, it's way more
I'm
than that.
kidding.
It's like rips in the space-time continuum that are allowing access to this alternate dimension where all these evil entities dwell, and they're just fucking with whoever comes into this house because there's openings everywhere. The aunt misunderstood and thought it was a haunted house when really there's something way more going on. Now we're teetering on this is so smart and different. It's actually sci-fi. If you really think about it, what's happening in this house? Mind blown.
So while he's standing there, some large tentacles and creature hands come out of the black hole and grab Roger and try to drag him in. He very quick thinkingly grabs a straight razor and cuts them up and sets himself free. Again, I wouldn't think to do that in that moment, but he does. He hears little Jimmy screaming from inside that black hole. So he decides to tie a long rope to the toilet and, armed with his shotgun and a flashlight, goes into the hole. Damn brave, man. That is a brave, bold man.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Facing your demons. If anything will force you to face who you really are, face your demons, and try to straighten your shit out, it's parenthood. And that's exactly what we're seeing, is that this guy's willing to put his trauma and bullshit aside because he realizes he has an opportunity to perhaps save his son now. So yes, you're gonna just tie a rope off and jump through there. He's gonna get his son back.
So he lowers himself down, but he gets attacked by a flying creature that basically looks like a giant bat with human skeleton head. Very creepy and Evil Dead-ish. I loved it. Loved it.
It's very stop motion Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Like, you're getting so many different types of scares and horror things and so many different effects, all of it being well done.
Here's the horror comedy flawless blend again, though, because it swoops in and scares him, but then it comes back in and takes his gun from him, flies away, and then flips the gun around like Wild West style and shoots the rope, which is ridiculous and silly, but also scary.
Yep.
So after a moment of falling, Roger hits a body of water. He surfaces to see that he is in fact in a jungle. He finds little Jimmy in a cage sitting on the banks nearby. He hears gunfire. Roger frees Jimmy and Jimmy says, "We gotta go, he's coming back." As they jump into the water and there's gunfire flying everywhere, we see the shadowy outline of a figure shooting at them. Roger and Jimmy come up out of the water and they're actually now in the swimming pool in the backyard of the house.
Yet another opening. Yep.
Which tracks, right? Because in his flashback, he saw Jimmy in the pool and then he was suddenly gone. So this is all making sense now. So he carries him through the house and they're headed toward the front door to go out. And when they open the door, they find a very dead but very cool looking skeleton Ben standing there all scary and decaying. The literal skeleton in the closet has come home, right?
Yes. He's going to be forced now to face. He comes face to face with the actual demon that he's been refusing to confront. The makeup is outstanding. The moment of shock when you see him works. You are not expecting anything to be there when he opens the door because of the pacing and how it's shot. It's such a surprise. There's no musical cue. Like, yeah. Oh my God, it's just so smart. This is really, really great horror again. Like, it was a comedy, then it was a drama, and now it's horror again. Oh, I get so excited every time he opens the door and you see the makeup.
Yeah. And Ben says to Roger, "Why didn't you kill me? I was tortured for weeks before they finally killed me." Roger says, "I went to get help." He tells Ben, "I would have died for you." And Ben says, "Well, now is your chance." So Roger says no, and he slams the door, tells little Jimmy to run out of the house and go get help. Ben shoots through the door, and then he goes around. And I love that he just busts through a window and comes in and starts chasing Roger. They get right to the chase scene. There's no dicking around.
Yes. And the way that Big Ben is behaving here. So you're getting really great effect with Richard Mall's voice. What they do to his voice sounds so great. However, that's clearly not him. This person's even bigger than he is. So the actor in the suit, I had to look, Kurt Wilmot, the physical prowess and speed and the intimidation in his presence, his movements when he's stalking after him. Oh my God, you're getting like massive Jason Voorhees vibes after you. It's so great. And the actor is probably a stunt actor is doing such a good job with the physicality and the way they match it to the voice. Oh, wow. Like, this is so freaky, this whole chase scene.
So he chases Roger up the stairs. Roger goes into the bathroom to find that the medicine cabinet, not a black hole anymore. It is now back to being a medicine cabinet. So he decides to climb out the little side window over the toilet there. Ben shoots the door. And he runs, I love this scene. He runs out of bullets as he's shooting. And he's like, come back from the grave and I run out of bullets. It's like just this silly comedy line that the scary creature is saying, and it's totally effective.
Suddenly you're getting Freddy Krueger vibes, not Jason Voorhees vibes, because he's got
Right.
this witty shit that's coming out of his mouth. And you're like, am I laughing at him or am I terrified of him? It's both.
Ben busts in to see Roger's foot as he's climbing up onto the roof. Roger goes up into the attic window and then comes back down to the upstairs, which I thought was a weird choice, but he bumps into Ben in the hall there. They tussle. They wind up on the stairs. Ben tosses Roger down and says, "You'll never be rid of me." Roger just, that's the moment for him. He realizes, you know what? I can't run anymore. You're right. I'm not going to be rid of you. So he runs head first into Ben, starts pummeling him and punching him, and he grabs Ben by the arm and swings him around as he goes flying and pulls the arm right off and then starts to hit him with it.
Yes, almost as if what he's realizing is this is a thing of the past and it actually has no power over me. If this is seriously the actual Ben and it's his decaying body, it's going to be weak as fuck. There's weaknesses I can exploit. And that's what propels him to go ahead and just tear the damn arm off and start hitting him with it. It's like, yes, go Roger. Absolutely. This thing is actually weak and deteriorating and shit, and it has no power over you. I love that moment where he just gets empowered. And he realizes, like, fuck you. You're a decaying, nasty memory, and I'm gonna kick your ass. Go, Roger.
I love that Ben says to him, though, is that all you have? You're a wimp. Calls him a wimp. So Roger runs away from Ben into the dining room. He flings a door open to find that the house is suddenly perilously sitting on the edge of a cliff overlooking a rocky beach. Roger slips and he's barely hanging on. Ben steps on his hand, which gets me. It gets me. I can watch Human Centipede, no problem, but don't step on my fingers. I can't look. So he steps on his hand, trying to make him fall. Roger cleverly, once again, uses his belt to rope Ben by the arm, pulling him and throwing him off the cliff. Roger climbs up. He hears Jimmy inside yelling, which I thought little Jimmy left to get help, but no, he's inside yelling. He runs upstairs and finds Ben standing there, holding Jimmy up off the ground.
Even if you met the guy and he was so nice and happy and playing with you 5 minutes ago, when you go to shoot this, you're going to be freaking terrified of the way that makeup looks because it's just so good.
So Ben tells Roger, kill yourself or I'm going to kill little Jimmy. And he holds a knife to Jimmy's neck.
Thinking about it the way I've been thinking about it this time, it's like, light bulb moments here. Okay, now we understand how the house operates, how the evil that's accessing the world through this house operates. It can't physically do anything to anyone. It has to scare you into hurting yourself. That's why the aunt killed herself. It does whatever it can and manipulates you, drives you crazy, makes you think that your life's in danger or your son's life is in danger to get you to do what it wants, which is hurt yourself, because it actually can't. And Roger's so smart and thinking so on his feet that he realizes that here. I freaking love it. And it never dawned on me how much of that is in this movie until this last viewing. And I've seen this movie dozens of times.
Yes, it comes to full circle, like you said, where we realize this is the case because Roger reaches out for Jimmy. Ben takes a swipe at him to cut his hand off and nothing happens. And it clicks to Roger. And he's like, I'm not afraid of you. You can't hurt me. This house can't hurt me. I beat you and I beat this house. You're like, yes.
Exactly. Everything I suspected about what this story really is about. Now you're seeing it all come to fruition. And it's like, okay, suspicion's confirmed. That is what this is about. I love that. And he took the power back.
So Roger takes the knife from Ben and then he grabs Jimmy. And this whole time, Ben's saying all kinds of, things to him like, I'm going to get you and this isn't over, and still trying to act like he's in control when clearly he's not. Roger grabs a grenade off of Ben, pulls the pin, and then shoves it up into his rib cage.
Yes, it's so gross.
So as Roger and Jimmy run out of the room, we see an explosion. Sandy pulls up in a taxi cab outside and Harold runs over and they see flames in the upstairs windows of the house. And then Roger and Jimmy come out the front door. he puts Jimmy down, he runs over, and of course, Sandy and Jimmy hug, and she's all excited to see her little boy. Triumphant music is playing, and then we see Roger standing there on the porch smiling at the moment. And I will say, I will fault this movie for one thing only: the freeze frame A-Team ending.
It feels so appropriate, though. It really does. If it ever worked, the only thing that would make it better, honestly, would be if the dog ran up with the decapitated hand still in its mouth and he high-fived it, and then they freeze framed on that. That would be the only thing that would make it more glorious. This movie deserves this freeze frame ending.
I love the cheesy smile and everything. So yeah, the end. Cue music, roll credits.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And I love that after all these years of watching this movie, I got something so different and fresh out of this last viewing.
Yes,
Just
I will say,
blew my mind.
watching it as a child or a teenager and appreciating some of the humor and loving the horror, not really paying attention to the underlying themes that are being addressed. And then now, 40 something, watching it, picking all of that up, picking up every piece of witty dialogue, the delivery of it, like appreciating the direction, the music, like, you know, just being able to appreciate this movie in a whole different way. And I feel like nobody has given this movie a chance in the way that we viewed it. And I think people need to. It's not just some dumbass movie from the 80s. I've mentioned to a few people we were covering this movie, and it was like, oh, that dumb movie. And I'm like, excuse me?
Excuse me, sir.
You need
Yeah.
a rewatch.
Hold the phone. Not just technically how many great things happen and how well it works as a horror, as a comedy, how smart the writing is. Beyond all of that, the way it blew my mind, this movie is about trauma and facing your demons. Like, I never got that. And I think it was just way too ahead of its time. And it worked so well on so many levels. It just went right over people's heads back in the 80s. So most of them probably don't have a good memory or never saw it.
Or they did what somebody did that I spoke to about this film. They remember House 2 and how that movie is very different thematically from this one. And they just remember that being cheesy and stupid and silly. And they lump them together. Oh, that dumb thing. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So I would say to everyone, give this one another chance and watch it through the lens of appreciation, how we did with your adult eyes. It's not as dumb as you remember it being. It's really not.
I can't get over how shocked I was to realize what this movie is really about. And the way that when it ended and you get that freeze frame of him smiling, I was like, that is the look of satisfaction on the face of a man who has confronted his traumatic past and healed from it. You freeze frame on that bitch. Let it linger. Let's see that smile for like a full minute.
I've got 3 questions for you. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Roger and Sandy got back together after this?
No.
You don't think the reason they separated was because the kid went missing?
No, I think when something like that happens and then a couple splits, a lot of the time it's going through that trauma will make or break you. And in that case, it reveals shines a light on what's wrong in your relationship. I think that after that ending, and this is where it's like, you have to talk about this from a serious, emotional, mental perspective, because that is the case with this movie. I think they would have gone on to have a very healthy friendship and relationship as co-parents. And whatever was wrong in their marriage, it's now going to be healed. Not that they're going to get back together. They're going to function way better now.
So then that segues into question 2. What do you think Roger did with the house? What happened to the house?
Well, it is the same house as House 2, isn't it?
No, it is not.
It's a completely different house in House 2? See,
Yes,
that's how well I remember.
It's a different story. It's a different thing altogether.
I just watched House 2 after I watched this one yesterday, and it didn't even occur to me that it wasn't the exact same house. That's how well I remember it, and it's that fresh in my head. What a turd. I would guess that he probably hired someone to come in and do a thorough cleansing and then sold that bitch.
Sage the shit out of it.
Yep. sold that bitch and walked away, because what can you do?
Well, that's why I've got like question 2A for you here. If the house is the portal of some evil, and yet he confronted his demons, that was just his particular situation. They were manifesting in the way that they needed to reach him. Who's to say the next people that live there, it doesn't manifest again, but in a different way? It's not like this was an isolated thing for just his family, right? The house is haunted.
Oh yeah, no, the house isn't haunted. It's a fucking portal. It's exactly what you said. And what are you supposed to do about that? All you can do is in good conscience, I think you would get someone in to clear up your bad juju and the energy of what just went down there, and then you would sell that bitch and walk away. It's not my problem anymore. I can't control the world. I can only control my own life. I think he would wisely sell it, collect that check, and walk away.
All right. And then because we've been referring to this until the end of the episode as a haunted house, my third question is, would you live in a haunted house? Would you live in a house like this that you knew some shit was going wrong? Or would you peace out after the first sign is something?
This ain't a haunted house. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing it's one of those times where misleading you with the premise of a movie works because you're expecting haunted ghost house and that's not what you get. There's something much weirder happening. It's on a freaking portal to some kind of alternate dimension. There's like a rip in the time space continuum in this house. That's not haunting. That's not ghosts. Absolutely not what I live there. I wouldn't even
house.
I would go out of my way to not even go up this street if I lived near it. No, ma'am. Ghosts, I can deal with that shit all day, every day, whatever. With the shit I've seen in my life, I can scare you way more than you can scare me, Mr. Ghost. They'd be terrified. They'd be running out of my house. But this alternate dimension shit, no, ma'am.
All right. Well, I'm with you. Me either. So for anyone out there interested in watching House, and like we've said, we can't say it enough, go watch it again. It's on Amazon Prime and probably some other streaming, but that's how we watched it. I also happen to own it because I love it so much. So I want to thank everyone for listening. And I want to thank my co-host, Miss Nikki Flicks, for joining me today.
It was a pleasure rewatching this movie and talking about it.
All right. And on that note, we are out. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey listeners, Movie Miss here. Listen, I know you have a lot of options when it comes to podcasts, so thank you for listening to the show. I know everybody says this, but for a fledgling little show like ours that's just hanging on, we just finished season 4, we're rolling into season 5, it would really help us if you could subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Good Pods. We're also on Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. It would really help us grow the show and reach more people if you could subscribe and then rate and review, which is really the key part of it. Make sure to be part of our bad movie conversation by following us on social media. Interact with me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Movie Miss, which is movie_miss. The show is on Instagram at Let's Talk Turkeys. Also on Blue Sky at Let's Talk Turkeys and Facebook. We're on X. I'm honestly not sure how much longer I'm going to have the show on there, but currently the handle is at Gobble Podcast. Get it? Gobble, 'cause like a turkey. You can also chat with like-minded bad movie lovers in our Facebook discussion group. And like I mentioned, we're rolling into season 5. It is 2025. The show, it's been a wild ride, still going strong. So if you have a movie that you would like to hear covered on the show, let me know by emailing direct at letstalkturkeys, all one word, at yahoo.com. Also, hit me up on socials if you want to be a guest on the show. Always looking for guests. I can assign you a movie, something we think is fun, or you can bring a movie that you think is a bad movie if it has a low Rotten Tomatoes score, or you just really don't like the movie, but you like to talk about it. That's half the fun, I think. Again, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. Without you, the show wouldn't still be kicking around. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us.
I'll be back.
Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.